Today on Virtual Production Insider, we are using Unreal Engine to recreate Severance. Welcome to Virtual Production Insider, where the work is mysterious and important. I'm your host, David Stapp, and today is a big episode. Today we are celebrating our 1-year anniversary of posting episodes here on YouTube, and we also just passed 10,000 subscribers, which is all thanks to you guys. You guys have been tuning in and showing us so much support, and we just wanted to say thank you. And we wanted to do something different for this episode. We wanted to do kind of an experiment, and we wanted to recreate a shot from one of our favorite shows, Severance, on Apple TV+. So like many of you, when I saw the opening shot of Season 2, Episode 1 of Severance, my mind was blown, and I loved how they put that sequence together. And it was clear to me that they were using cinema robots at the beginning of that sequence because we use a cinema robot every day at Form Studios. So it wasn't long before I had the idea of, hey, could we recreate that shot using our Sisu cinema robot and combine it with our LED wall and do it with an in-camera visual effects twist? And that's exactly what we did, and we're going to now break that down and show you how we did it.
Like body motion so that it feels like a longer term. Action.
Okay, so let's talk about all the major pieces that kind of had to come together for us to pull this off. The most obvious part is that we needed a cinema robot in order to do these big, precise movements when we come out of the elevator. The next thing we needed was a zoom lens in order to do the dolly zoom effect at the beginning of the shot. If you're not familiar, a dolly zoom is where you move your camera in one direction and then you gradually change the focal length of the zoom lens in the opposite direction. In the show Severance, when our characters go from outie to innie in the elevator, they move the camera forward towards the actor and they zoom the lens out. And this is where Zeiss really helped us out. They hooked us up with their compact zoom 28 to 80 millimeter lens, and this thing is amazing. It is sharp, it is robust, and it gave us an excellent image. And then we needed to figure out, how do we wrap around someone 360 degrees when we're shooting on an LED wall? Because typically with an LED wall, you're shooting in one general direction. So we actually integrated a turntable that was spinning me around, and all of the transform data from that turntable was being fed into Unreal Engine.
Hey, it's Shawn at Form Studios, and I'm going to break down how we did the shot using our Sisu cinema robot, our turntable, and Unreal Engine. So the way we did this using our cinema robot is basically we took the original video clip and we went through and we keyframed each robot move as was done on the show. And then we were able to import that into our robot, so basically it matched the timing of it exactly how it was programmed on the show itself. We then also took those keyframes, brought those into Unreal Engine, so basically everything's synced together. So we've been working with Sisu for the last 5 years. We have their C20 robot here. The robots make it very quick and easy to program shots, which is how we're able to accomplish this full shoot in one day. So if you notice in the show, there's a big 360-degree wrap in the elevator scene. So what we did is we put David on the turntable. We had an encoder on the turntable, which basically just sends that positional data into Unreal Engine. So as we rotate David around on the turntable, our Unreal Engine scene rotates with him, giving the illusion that we're basically spinning around David in the elevator.
So that covers the hardware, but there's still the virtual side of this shoot. Because this is ICVFX and we're using Unreal Engine, we need these environments to be created in 3D. And at the start of this project, I thought I was going to have to go in and make all these maps from scratch, but luckily I found Greg Rogers on YouTube.
Hey everyone, my name is Greg Rogers and I'm a 3D artist, originally from New York, but I'm based out of Seattle. About a year and a half ago, I was watching the show Severance and I decided on a random episode that I was going to recreate this entire show in Unreal Engine. Doing the macro data refinement room quickly evolved into my passion for world building and environment and learning all the ins and outs of Unreal Engine to take on a project of this scale. I worked on my own, modeling about 90% of all the assets you see throughout the animation. What really does help is bringing in the actors themselves as 3D references. So you can find out the heights of all of the characters in the show, find a screenshot from the show, and try and just recreate that by really just quickly base modeling and putting the actors' 3D models in those places. And then you can start guesstimating your way through the whole project. The biggest reward for me is to see all of the hard work and the environments that I've built projected on the LED wall and see how virtual production works.
So huge shout out to Greg. He was amazing to work with, and it was just amazing that he was willing to let us use these environments for this shoot, and it saved us a ton of time. And it was super satisfying seeing everything come together, especially considering we only had a couple days to prep and a half day to shoot it. Now, could our recreation be better? Oh, 100%. I think we could do so much more with more time. And that's a really interesting aspect when you consider how much time they spent creating the full sequence for the show, which again goes much longer and beyond what we recreated. There's so many more shots beyond that where Mark, the main character, is running through these hallways and they do all these crazy camera moves, which is presented in one fluid shot. And according to the production, that full sequence took them 6 months to create, which was then passed on to the visual effects company, which was Industrial Light and Magic. They must be new. I'm just kidding. Everybody knows that ILM is at the top of the food chain in the VFX industry, and they did an amazing job on this sequence. And it was really great to see all of the different methods they used to achieve this full sequence. They had different sections that used live practical sets and other sections that used green screen, and they stitched it all together. And they even did a hybrid of this where certain parts of the set would be cut out in order to make room for the cinema robot. And then ILM would work their magic and replace the background behind the actor. And the purpose of this video is not to say that ICVFX with an LED wall would have been a better option. No, I think the way they went about it was the smartest way to do it. They compartmentalized and they used what made the most sense for different parts of the sequence. Now, with that said, you could easily take certain sections of that full sequence and integrate an LED volume into it, especially since they were already taking multiple sections and stitching them together and making it look like one fluid shot. So hopefully this just inspires you to be creative, right? And to know that there is not one way to approach a problem. LED walls, green screens, all of that stuff is just a tool. And it's important to know the pros and cons of each tool and to know which one is going to fit the situation better. Now, looking back, if I were to do this again, there are definitely some things I would do differently or some things I'd have on my wish list, you know, with a bigger budget, bigger production in order to really perfect this. One of those wish list items would be a taller LED wall because certain portions of the shot required kind of these low angle shots looking up at our character, and we had to kind of cheat the camera a little bit higher and tilt it down more in order to not see beyond the top of our LED wall, because our ultimate goal was that we did everything in camera. And the final thing that I would do to make this the best it could be would be to pre-render the image that we see on the wall and play it back. Basically, when you're rendering in real time and you're moving your in-display really quickly, sometimes the motion blur in the virtual scene just doesn't look that great, and you can sometimes see steps in the motion blur where it should be blurred, but you can actually see kind of duplicated lines. And the thing that really combats this is to just pre-render it out using Movie Render Queue. And you can even render your in-display view using Movie Render Queue. Basically, this will render the entire image on the LED wall, including the outer and inner frustum. And this would have given us proper anti-aliasing and motion blur that we could have then just played back as a video file on the LED wall. But hey, this is why we do this. This is why we do these kinds of experiments and tests, is so that we can see what works and what doesn't work. But again, I want to give huge praise to the show for how they went about achieving this amazing sequence. I'll never forget how I felt watching it for the first time. It was absolutely mind-blowing. And another shout out I want to give is to Oliver Latta over at ExtraWeg. He is the 3D artist who created the amazing opening credits for Severance. We obviously recreated some of those shots with an Unreal Engine twist, but I wanted to make sure that he gets full credit for his amazing work, so definitely go check him out. So to Ben Stiller and all the cast and crew and all the talented people at Industrial Light and Magic, thank you for all the hard work you're putting into the show, and I can't wait for season 3. So we hope you guys liked this episode. We hope you enjoyed this behind the scenes look at us trying to recreate this shot using tools like Unreal Engine and virtual production. And if you haven't checked out Severance yet, please go to Apple TV Plus and watch the show. It is worth your time, I promise you. And I want to give a huge shout out to all of our sponsors who made this episode possible: Sisu Cinema Robots, Zeiss, Form Studios, Remedy Films, and of course all the crew members who came out today. And if you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. We've got a lot of great content coming out down the road. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to listen to some Defiant Jazz. We'll see you guys next time. That's good.